So guess what? Today is day 80 of the Momentum Challenge with heart and mind aligned. Thank you for joining me. And I am Maggie. And we are one. And we are doing this Momentum Challenge together. So today is day 80. I don't know what the camera's doing. But anyway, we are doing the complete works of Florence Shinn. And I don't know, she got married and then she became Florence Shinn, but it says Florence Shinn. And we are in the chapter, the book, The Law of Nonresistance. So we're going to keep on moving. We read the chapters twice so it can get in, and then I break it down into points, and then you can pick the point that you like the most to help you through whatever. Or maybe just to uplift you or whatever you're doing. Because we all planted April 4th, some dreams, goals, visions, purposes, and acts of service. And we're going to be bearing some major fruit on the 4th of July. I think we're going to hit day 90 before that, but we'll see. Okay, so here we go. So what we are doing the law of non-resistance. And she was talking about the metaphysician that gave her the wonderful recipe for every trick in the game of life. And it's about non-resistance. And he gave it in this way. At one time in my life, I baptized children. And of course, they had many names. Now I no longer baptize children. I baptize events. But I give every event the same name. If it has a failure, I baptize it success. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Okay, so that was the story. So in that, we see the great law of transmutation found on non-resistance. So in the Hermetic principles, if you study the Emerald Tablets or the Kabbalion, they talk about how it's basically one band, even David Hawkins. And love and hate are in the same band. So you're just moving up like a temperature. So we are transmuting like failure to success. And of course, as you dial it up, there's different levels of failure and there's different levels of success. Okay. For example, a woman who required money, who knew the spiritual law of opulence, was thrown continually in a business way with a man who made her feel very poor. He talked lack and limitation. So remember that old-fashioned, new-fashioned? We are all about the new-fashioned talk. He's talking old-fashioned talk. He talked about lack and limitation, and she commenced to catch his poverty thoughts. So she disliked him and blamed him for her failure. Whew, once we get into blame, that's a stronghold. So anyway, even if the other person is wrong, once you get into blame, you're going to get tied to them. All right. So she knew in order to demonstrate her supply, she must first feel like she had received. Law of assumption, right? Neville Goddard. A feeling of opulence must precede this manifestation. Reverend Ike, Joseph Murphy, Jesus Christ, okay, they all are Thoth, all are teaching the same thing. So a feeling of opulence must precede its manifestation. It dawned upon her one day that she was resisting the situation and seeing two powers instead of one. Oh, I love this two power, and then you realize there's only one. When you start catching yourself hitting that fork in the road or that quad in the road or how many other directions you split off, when you start consolidating that as one power, it starts to transmutate quick. So she blessed the man and baptized the situation success. She affirmed, as there is only one power, God, that man is here for my good and my prosperity. Just what he did not seem to be there for. Okay, so you catching this? 3D's telling her one thing, but she's holding on to a higher dimension and she's speaking life. Okay, so soon after that, she met through this man a woman who gave for her a service rendered several $1,000s. And that man moved to a distant city and faded harmoniously from her life. Okay, so what happened? She started affirming the success and he couldn't resonate anymore, and he just went right out of her life. Make the statement, every man is a golden link in the chain of my good. All right, gang, your turn. Every man is a golden link in the chain of my good. Every man or woman is a golden link in the chain of our good. Woo! Okay, so for all men are God's manifestation, awaiting the opportunity given by man himself to serve the divine plan of his life. So you're hearing this? We usher in the success or the failure, right? So God, he helps us manifest, and we are awaiting the opportunity given by ourselves to serve the divine plan of our life. So keep speaking in success. Keep speaking in health. Keep speaking in love. Just keep speaking it and hold. Okay, so bless your enemy and you rob him of his ammunition. His arrows will be transmuted into blessings. So bless your enemy and you rob him of his ammunition. His arrows will be transmuted into blessings. This law is true of nations as well as individuals. Bless a nation, send love and goodwill to every inhabitant, and it is robbed of its power to harm. Okay, so I know a lot of people, as we're going through these in challenging times, look at life and they just think, this is crap. It's not. When we leave our bodies, we go on in our lives. Our bodies are the temple, our bodies the clay jar. But when we pass, we don't die. You are eternal. And so there's a lot of things that some people can see and some cannot. But I'm just saying that there's a lot more going on. So don't ever look at a defeat on the earth realm as permanent, because it's not. Continue to work these principles, because there is a spiritual warfare going on and there's much bigger realms going on, and you will eventually succeed. So don't, a lot of times when people pray a prayer or wish a wish, they think that they died and it didn't happen. But when you start to look at that line, it has bear fruit in another generation. So do not give up. Okay. So man can only get the right idea of non-resistance through spiritual understanding. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's kind of what I was just saying. Don't get stuck in the 3D. Hold to the higher principles, because God is working the whole thing out for us. So man can only get the right idea of non-resistance through spiritual understanding. My students have often said, I don't want to be a doormat. And I reply, when you use non-resistant with wisdom, no one can ever be able to walk over you. So you got that? Non-resistant with wisdom equals elevation. So another example, one day I was impatiently awaiting an important telephone call. So story, I resisted every call that came in and made no outgoing calls myself, reasoning that I might interfere with the one I was awaiting. Instead of saying, divine ideas never conflict, the call will come at the right time, leaving it to infinite intelligence to arrange, I commenced to manage things myself, and I made the battle mine and not God's, and remained tense and anxious. So have you ever heard that joke? If you ever want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Hand it over to God, whatever it is, and practice that. Practice it on the light things, so when it gets to the heavy lifting, it's not as hard. But she commenced to make the battle her own, instead of letting the infinite intelligence, which is the universe, the spirit, God, to work these things out for us. So let's continue. The bell did not ring for about an hour, and I glanced at the phone and found the receiver had been off for a length of time, and the phone was disconnected. My anxiety, fear, and belief in interference had brought on a total eclipse of the phone. Realizing what I had done, I commenced. So you see that? Sin is to miss the mark. So she sinned. She missed the mark. She didn't get all wrapped up about it. She realized what she had done, and I commenced blessing the situation at once. I baptized its success and affirmed, I cannot lose any call that belongs to me by divine right. I am under grace and not under law. Woo-hoo. Yep. We are under grace and not under law. So I cannot lose any call that belongs to me. I cannot lose any health that belongs to me. I cannot lose any wealth that belongs to me by divine right, because I am under grace and not under law. She entered a crowded grocery, but the proprietor left his customer and attended to the call himself. And my phone was connected at once. And 2 minutes later, I received a very important call, and about an hour afterward, the one I had been awaiting. One's ships come in over a calm sea. So long as man resists the situation, okay, if you resist, it shall persist. So as long as a man resists the situation, he will have it with him. If he runs away from it, it will run after him. Okay, so another story. For example, I repeated this to a woman one day, and she replied, how true that is. I was unhappy at home. I disliked my mother, who was critical and domineering. So I ran away and I was married. But I married my mother, for my husband was exactly like my mother, and I had the same situation to face again. Agree with thine adversary quickly. That's what the Bible says, right? That means agree that the adverse situation is good. Be undisturbed by it, and it falls away on its own weight. None of these things move me. It is an important affirmation. So you got that one? None of these things move me. Why worry about it? It probably won't happen anyway. So it's not to say be irresponsible, but let's not put our weight and our will and our energy behind the negative. And it takes a little bit of practice, because one ship's come in over a calm sea. So let's, like I say, peace in, peace out. Let's be the calm sea. So like reality transurfing says, so then apples will fall from the sky to you, will fall to you versus away. All right, so that's what's up tonight. Thank you for joining me. Follow me, subscribe. We're having some fun here. Like the video. I love to hear what story, what grabbed you, what are you going to be utilizing in the days and weeks to come. And what's interesting is as we begin to move through it, the same things, the same principles keep coming through with stories, but everybody grasps something a little bit differently. But since we're in it to win it, don't stop, because we're in the momentum challenge and we're all moving towards our best selves. All right, well, I appreciate you joining me, and may you be at peace.